Hello and welcome to CTET English Pedagogy. I'm Sharanya and I'll be dealing with your English pedagogy for both Paper 1 and Paper 2. At the very outset, I would like you to understand one thing very clearly. As we are teachers already, CTET is not a competitive examination. For us, it is merely a qualifying examination. So let us just take it in that way. What I mean is, we need to have a positive approach towards this examination. Like whenever a new book is introduced or a new syllabus is introduced, our approach, our attitude is positive and open minded. And we, as 21st century teachers, need to be dynamic and adaptable in our approach to the changes that come again and again. So, my friends, the success mantra for this examination is the faith that you need to have in yourself. So, we'll be having a syllabus overview session today where I'll be showing you the glimpse of the syllabus for both Paper 1 and Paper 2. At this juncture, I would like to quote Rabindranath Tagore. Since I've been talking about faith, which is one of the most essential mantra for your success in this examination. Tagore said, "Faith is a bird that feels the light and sings when the dawn is still dark." So we need to be that bird, hopeful and faithful that we will crack this examination for sure. So let us stop grumbling and start preparing religiously. So first of all, we need to demystify and dispel this biggest myth that there is about this examination. It is that CTET English is all about grammar and vocabulary. No. The reality is that this examination is about your knowledge of the language pedagogy, that is how you are delivering, and classroom practices and assessment. They form the backbone of this examination when it comes to English pedagogy. Please take a look at the syllabus for Paper 1 and Paper 2. First, we will look at the syllabus of Paper 1, English syllabus, that is for classes 1 to 5. It focuses on English as a medium of instruction, where there are two sections primarily: language comprehension and pedagogy of language development. Each section carries 15 marks, which totals around 30 marks. So, I'll tell you the best part about CTET preparation is that there is a huge overlap between both the papers, Paper 1 and Paper 2. So that is the best part about preparing for CTET. If you are well versed with the topics that is there in Paper 2, then you can cover 90 to 95% of the syllabus that is there in English syllabus for Paper 1. Let us move on to the next slide. This is the English syllabus for classes 6 to 8, that is your Paper 2. And as you can see, it also contains two sections. First one is language comprehension, and the second one being English pedagogy, language development, pedagogy of language development. Let us move on to the next slide. So what exactly CTET really tests? CTET tests not how much English you know. It doesn't test how much English you know or how well you know. It tests whether you understand how children acquire language, how language skills develop, and how assessment works, and how as a teacher you are facilitating learning in a diverse classroom. So these are very important, and if you are well versed with these topics, then you will do exceptionally well in your examination. So please look at the points. First, that is language acquisition. This forms the first and important topic in English pedagogy, language acquisition and learning. Then it focuses on teaching learning processes whether you are acquainted with this teaching learning process thoroughly. Then assessment, as I already mentioned before, and inclusive education, which is the need of the hour, and language skills. The four skills, which is very important. Let us move on to the next slide. Paper 1 and paper 2, as I already mentioned that there is a huge overlap between the two papers. So when you prepare for paper 2, you automatically cover around 90 to 95% for your paper 1. And paper 1 is for the primary classes, and paper 2, as we know, it is for the elementary classes, classes 6 to 8. Let us move on to the next slide. This is the complete roadmap, your way ahead. You can see what are the topics, the highly frequent topics that are featured over the years repeatedly in the examination, like nature of language, principles of language, acquisition versus learning, teaching methods, LSRW, the four skills, language skills, assessment, inclusion, and error analysis. Let us move on to the next slide. So we will be discussing in great detail nature of language, how language is, how language is used as a communication tool, characteristics and functions of the language, role in cognition and learning. Next, language acquisition versus learning. So how language is acquired, about the process, and how learning actually takes place. Like there is formal and conscious way of learning, and we will also be going over many language experts and linguistic experts like Noam Chomsky, Vygotsky, Jean Piaget, and Krashen. So Chomsky and Krashen, they hold significant importance when it comes to English pedagogy. Next. Principles of language teaching. This will also be dealt with in great detail. Next. Teaching methods. This is just an overview. It will all be discussed in great detail. Since this is just a syllabus overview, we are going through the syllabus in chunks. Next. Communicative language teaching. Here, regarding focus on meaningful communication and real life language use, this is the highly favored topic in CTET. You will see this many questions arising from this topic over the years. They have featured in this paper 2 and paper 1. Next. LSRW skills, we'll deal with them in great detail. Next. Reading skills, type of reading as well as the skills and the theories who are involved in reading skills will be dealt later. Next. Writing skills, the types of writing will also be discussed later. Next. Grammar in pedagogy. Here I would like to highlight one important thing. The candidates appearing for this examination, they focus primarily on memorizing grammar concepts and not focus on the context in which it has to be applied. So grammar through context is more important for you as a teacher, and not learning and relearning and memorizing or committing to your memory what you have already learned before. So using grammar rules and application of grammar rules, that also forms the core of this grammar in pedagogy. Next. Assessment in language learning. So this is something that CTT loves to ask again and again. And this question comes almost every year. Like assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. What is the difference? So this we'll be dealing with later on. Next. Formative versus summative assessment. Assessment, as I've already mentioned, it forms a very significant proportion when it comes to the syllabus. Like assessment itself is a different topic, and we have to deal with it in a very thorough manner. Next. Alternative assessment. What are the alternative assessment strategies that are there? We'll be discussing them. Next. Inclusive education. As I've already told before, this is the need of the hour. So how to deal with diverse learners in a diverse classroom. So that is also very important. So we'll be dealing with it. Next. Multilingual classrooms. NEP 2020, NCFSC 2023 talks about multilingual classrooms. So multilingual classrooms, you can be sure that questions from this topic will arise. Next. error analysis, like identifying learner errors and the various learning disorders, everything will come under this. Next, remedial teaching. This is very important. What is the targeted group or the targeted audience for you? For us, they will be the children. And in order to correct various misconceptions regarding remedial teaching, we'll have a session on it as well. Next. Now, this is very important. Please pay attention. High frequency CTET topics. You can take a snapshot of this. These are certain topics. They are like high frequency indicators. Over the years, they have featured in the CTET question paper. If you go through the PYQ, you'll find acquisition versus learning, communicative language teaching, assessment, inclusive education, and error analysis. They are repeating. Next. Now look at some of the common mistakes. Firstly, that is over focusing on grammar. I have mentioned this before as well. When you focus more on grammar and not on how grammar has to be taught, its application, then you miss out on marks. So do not do that. Next, ignoring pedagogy. We we are so focused on acquiring more knowledge, going through theories and learning more and more. We forget that we are not CTT does not test how much you know. It tests how well you tackle as a teacher, how well you deliver. So that is what is more important, pedagogy. And then not practicing PYQ. That is the biggest mistake a candidate can make. One needs to go through the previous year questions, be well versed with them. And as I've already, since you saw in the previous slide, that I went through the question papers and I found certain themes, certain topics repeating over the time. So those are some of the places where you can score marks. Like those sections you can score marks easily. And last one, that is memorizing without application. You should not commit everything to your memory blindly or without any meaning to it. You should look at the PYQ and do smart work, because hard work alone doesn't work. You need to do smart work as well. Next, the exam strategy that has worked for me. I started with English plus CDP first. This is how I used to attempt. And I always remind people that do not get stuck in one question. Like, do not give one question more than 40 seconds. 40 seconds is, I know, a little too much. But yes, 40 seconds for one question is must. Then attempt every question. Since there is no negative marking, please do not leave any question unanswered. And since this was the strategy that I used in the examination, I would like to request you to exercise caution when you are using this strategy. Do not just blindly follow other strategy. Try to attempt, do some mock tests and see for yourself what works best for you. Next. How CTT frames question. Now this is very important. CTT doesn't ask knowledge questions only, like what is skimming and all. Gone are the days when such questions used to appear. Now it wants that the teacher should be competent enough to know, the teacher should be knowledgeable enough to know how certain activities can help bring about the concept, how they will be useful. Like pedagogy questions are what the CTT is now asking. They are not now focusing on knowledge only. Next. Success formula for CTET preparation. You need to understand the theories, concepts, then apply, practice, and revise. Revision is more important, and revision, once you practice through pre-YQs, it becomes very easy and you'll love the process. And last, I would like to conclude by saying that you need to think like a teacher because you are a teacher. Do not forget that you are a teacher and you have been giving your best. So just have faith in yourself that you have been performing this sacred duty with all your heart, with the care, competence, and dedication that it requires. And this is just another eligibility test. So don't just think as a candidate, think as a teacher how you will how you will do justice to your job. Like, your primary duty is to teach the children, and how you are going to deliver. We need to think of this process as a process where we are reflecting on ourselves. So focus on your strength and do not ignore your weaknesses. Work on them and give your best. And I'm sure you'll crack this examination. We'll embark on this journey together, and we'll have various other sessions where we'll be discussing and going through these topics. Till then, stay safe. Goodbye.